But let's turn just briefly to the nomination of Neil Gorsuch, who I would imagine probably you taught.
No, as it happens, Barack Obama and Neil Gorsuch were in the same graduating class, but Barack Obama was in my constitutional law class. Neil Gorsuch was in another. I don't actually know who taught him constitutional law, but he certainly learned it well. He's a very smart guy, very, very learned judge, writes well, very thoughtful on all the, he checks off all the normal criteria for being a totally excellent appointment, just viewed in isolation.
All right, but let's broaden that view out, because there are some who argue, and in fact, Gorsuch, when he wrote in 2005 in a piece for I think it was the National Review, that the politicization of this process is undercutting the institution of the Supreme Court. It seems to me that Neil Gorsuch is the child of perhaps the most politicized move that we've ever seen in the context of the Supreme Court, which was the complete denial of hearings for a president for a year. Putting aside his own sort of individual merits, is he going to have an asterisk next to his name regardless of what happens going forward?
Well, in a way, every justice is going to have an asterisk next to his or her name in the future. I mean, it's hard to imagine a point in the future where the political warfare over every Supreme Court seat is going to be sort of less prominent than it is now. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see an 8-member court lasting for quite a while and the court getting smaller by attrition, because what the Republicans did to Merrick Garland was so extraordinary that it's very hard to imagine how we dig our way out of that hole. That is, viewed purely in isolation, Neil Gorsuch is a terrific appointment, even though ideologically he's at a different point than the justices that I tend to agree with or favor. But you can't view it in isolation. There's no way to think about this seat, at least for someone like me, as anything other than a seat that was stolen from Merrick Garland in the first instance, and ultimately from Barack Obama, because he was treated as though he was just not a legitimate president in his final year. And when you've got a stolen seat, as you say, whoever fills it will have a kind of asterisk. And the whole question of how the Democrats should proceed now is just extremely difficult. I mean, one perspective is two wrongs don't make a right. They shouldn't be as obstructive as the Republicans were. But the other perspective is if they don't grow a spine on this, when will they? The idea that perhaps they should give Neil Gorsuch a pass and not require that there be 60 votes and that they can put up a fight next time if they keep their powder dry, when, let's say, someone more close to the center of the court, like Kennedy, leaves, it assumes there'll be any powder left at that point.
Right.
So it's a very tough issue.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.